नमः। ॐ पापनाशनाय नमः। तीर्थस्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ तेजस्विने नमः। ॐ देहातीताय नमः। ॐ सर्वातीताय नमः। ॐ दृढनिश्चयाय नमः। ॐ धर्मसंस्थापकाय नमः। ॐ धीमते नमः। ॐ हीनाय नमः। ॐ धैर्यप्रदाय नमः। ॐ नारायणाय नमः। ॐ निरपेक्षाय नमः। ॐ स्नेहाय नमः। ॐ निरुपमाय नमः। ॐ निर्विकल्पाय नमः। ॐ नित्याय नमः। ॐ निरञ्जनाय नमः। ॐ परमाय नमः। ॐ परब्रह्मणे नमः। ॐ पावनाय नमः। ॐ पावकाय नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ प्रसन्नात्मने नमः। ॐ फलं सत्तिरहिताय नमः। ॐ बहुभक्ताय नमः। ॐ गन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ ब्रह्मनिष्ठाय नमः। ॐ ब्रह्मपराय नमः। ॐ भयनाशनाय नमः। ॐ भारतगौरवाय नमः। ॐ भूम्ये नमः। ॐ महावाक्योपदेशकाय नमः। ॐ ॐ वाग्मिने नमः। ॐ विभवे नमः। ॐ विनोदप्रियाय नमः। ॐ विजयशीलाय नमः। ॐ वीतरागाय नमः। ॐ वेदान्तवेद्याय नमः। ॐ शान्ताय नमः। ॐ शान्तिप्रदाय नमः। ॐ शास्त्रोद्धारकाय नमः। ॐ शुद्धसत्त्वाय नमः। ॐ श्रुतिपारदाय नमः। ॐ श्रोत्रियाय नमः। ॐ सन्न्यासिने नमः। ॐ समबुद्धये नमः। ॐ सच्चिदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ सर्वहितचिन्तकाय ॐ सत्यसङ्कल्पाय नमः। ॐ संष्ठाय नमः। ॐ साधवे नमः। ॐ सुमनसे नमः। ॐ सुमने नमः। ॐ स्वयं ज्योतिषे नमः। ॐ स्थितप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ क्षमाशीलाय नमः। ॐ ॐ ज्ञानदुःखाय नमः। ॐ नित्यशुद्धबुद्धमुक्तस्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ सद्गुरवे नमः। As we come to the conclusion of the chanting, we now move towards the Guru Aarti. Aarti is an expression of devotion and surrender. It is a way of offering our gratitude to the Guru who illuminates our path and guides us from darkness towards light. We would like our sir to do the Aarti along with Srinivasan sir, Vanika ma'am, Sandeep Ranjan sir, Manpreet ma'am, Ranjita ma'am, and Vikram. Arati Shri
Manesar, Divya Loka Muraliga Kunani, Sarvata Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you, everyone. As we conclude the orgy, let us thank the life efforts in it, not just in this moment, but in the way we think, act, lead, and live. Before we start with the book launch, I would like to request everyone to stand for the national anthem. After the launch event outside the airplane, moving forward, thank you. As we come to the conclusion of this beautiful celebration of Guru Purnima, we are reminded that the journey of learning truly never ends. A guru may guide us, a mentor may inspire us, and every experience may teach us something new. It is in this spirit of continuous learning and leadership that we are truly honored to have some very distinguished guests with us today. We are delighted to welcome our esteemed guests from Amway area, along with our distinguished leaders and members of the soil leadership team. It is now our honor to introduce our guests to you. It is our privilege to welcome Mr. Vinod Agarwal, sir, Vice Chairman of Eicher Motors, a distinguished leader, not only built of leadership and credible thinking. His extensive experience in leadership and business transformation has contributed to shaping one of India's most respected automotive companies. We are truly honored to have you with us today, sir. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Vinod Agarwal. It is a great honor to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Rajneesh Chopra, Managing Director of Amway India. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Vipul Sabharwal, sir. We are deeply honored to welcome Mr. Anil Sachdev, founder of School of Inspired Leadership. Sir. And now, we are honored to invite Professor Naveen, who will moderating today's book launch and the conversation that follows.
Morning, everyone. Morning. Am I audible? Okay. Sorry, I ended with a bit of a bad throat last night. Um, so I'm really looking forward. First of all, I'm really honored to be moderate this distinguished panel of guests that we have here today with us, and we have a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the book launch of our founder, Mr. Alex Dave. This book, which is called The Inspired Leader. Um, all of you, in fact, have been part of a course called Sourcing Inspiration, where the foundation, the crux of that course is captured in this book. So I strongly recommend that all of you pick up a copy of this book and use it as a reference guide for not only just this course, but also for your life. Before we begin, a few words about our guests. We have Mr. Vinod Agarwal, who is the chairman of Volvo Eicher and Eicher. And he's led the organization from the top. He's had senior leadership positions. He actually spent 43 years. Is that correct? We have a long association with Anil sir. Anil, of course, been with Aisha. And they know each other from the beginning, and they've created this wonderful organization that is Aisha today that they'll be so proud of. Then we have Mr. Vipul Sabharwal. He's rightly pointed out, his last stint was with Luminous, and now he's a board director and on different companies. But he's worked with organizations such as Gillette, Nokia, Thailand, Whirlpool, and so on before he joined Luminous, where he led the organization and took it to the great heights that it has reached to. One guest who hasn't arrived, I'm sure he'll be here shortly, Mr. Rajneesh Chopra. He's the MD of Amway. He's led Amway in senior leadership positions in the US. And then now he's the managing director. And we have a whole team out here from Amway. So please give them a warm welcome. This is the leadership team from Amway is here. That, we have got 15 of you here. Thank you for coming, sir, gentlemen and ladies. So before we proceed any further, I request Anil to please share their thoughts about the book, sir.
समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्म विद्वरम्. I was only 5 years old when I met Swami Chinmayananda, and every moment in his presence made you smile for no reason, made you feel very good about yourself, and you felt 20 feet taller. Just being with him for a few seconds was enough to lift you up. So everything that has happened to me in my life has happened because of his grace and his blessings. So it's absolutely no exaggeration to say that the creation of this institute is our way of saying thank you to a great teacher, one of the greatest spiritual teachers ever. 300 centers all over the world, 100,000 students in our 100 schools and colleges, the Chinmaya University. The Chinmaya International School in Coimbatore, which consistently for last 5 years is rated as the #1 boarding school in the country. The Chinmaya Mission School in Chennai, which is consistently rated #1 high school in the country, and so on and so forth. So all because a teacher said that we need to claim the teacher inside us. That inside us there is infinite potential. Each one of us is capable of becoming the best in whatever we choose to do. But the ego gets in the way, the mind gets in the way, the fears get in the way, and we begin to think we are not good enough. So he said, my dharma is to awaken Indians to India, is to bring to our understanding what is possible if we invoke the purity of our own heart, and if we believe in the power of our own vision to say, we can become a great civilization. So tirelessly, whether it was when India fought the wars, he was there in the battlefront with the army generals and the army officers, inspiring the men in uniform. Every time India went to war, he was called by the army chief to come to the border. He was also a great freedom fighter. So what a wonderful teacher to have in our lives, right? This book of mine talks about 7 different things, 7 practices. It begins with first saying, let's embrace the fact that there are 2 lies about leadership. 2 lies about leadership. The first lie is that leaders are born. We all know that's not true. We all make something out of the context given to us. And I tell a story of a person I work with. His name is Raghunath Singh. Raghunath was 5 years old. His father died. His mother was a maid servant. She used to bring food from the neighborhood and feed her son. But she said to Raghunath, don't think that you are not enough. If you honor what God has brought you to this planet for, you can do anything in life, the mother told Raghunath. He believed his mother. He went under the street lamp and studied. And Principal Bhave in the government school in Gurgaon took the class out, got blotting paper, magnifying convex lens, and showed how the paper caught fire with the sun's rays. And he asked the children, why am I doing this experiment with you? So everybody said, you are teaching us focal length. We had an example in physics. He said, no, that's not quite true. So Raghunath raised his hand. He said, sir, you are telling us that our mind will run in many directions. But if we choose to focus, we can really develop a way of shining a light within us to light up the world. He said, you know the answer. Raghunath went on to get a scholarship, went to the UK, came back to India, joined the National Chemical Laboratory. When he joined, the scientist said, we don't have money to buy equipment, we don't have foreign exchange. He asked an innocent question, what if we were to earn foreign exchange? He went on to become director of NCL. 10 years later, they earned foreign exchange. They became exporters of technology from the country. He went on to become Minister of Science and Technology. I talked to you about Dr. Raghunath Anand Mashirkar, one of India's greatest scientists ever. A dear friend. We did extensive work with him in all his CSIR labs, where we did leadership development programs for all the scientists in the country. And he told me this story when I was traveling with him from Delhi to Bangalore about his life. So, as I said, this is not about the context that is given to you. You can do anything should you choose to take responsibility. And there are many such stories in my book. And then I say the second lie about leadership is that you lead someone else. Completely untrue. No human being leads any other human. You only lead yourself. You lead your health. You lead the way you perceive. You lead the way you listen. You lead the way you relate to people. You lead the way you think. You lead the way you learn. You lead the way you discover your own strengths. You lead the way you discover your own values, your own purpose. You also lead your own ego so that it does not get in the way. Finally, you are only led not by a human being, but by that ever-present silent witness within, which Gandhi called. The only voice I'm afraid of is the stillness within that guides me on what I need to do. The inner witness, the consciousness. You can call him Allah, call him Krishna, call him Jesus, doesn't matter. but the divinity inside you, you are led by that force. So this is what the whole book is about, chapter by chapter. It goes into the details. It goes into every particular part. I've been very blessed to work with some amazing colleagues and leaders. I've been blessed to create organizations as an instrument of service, and amazing things have happened through me. And I owe that all to the Guru within me. But the guidance from the Guru to guide you to your own home inside, that's what this is about. So I want to thank all of you, including all my friends in Amway. You had a good fortune of working with your company long time back, even before some of you may have begun your careers. And it's been a wonderful journey to see young Ajit those days he was heading a function and to see him now in this position. So it's been very nice. That I, of course, started our work together. We worked in a very special company which Vinod took on to greater heights. And Vipul I had the opportunity to work with when he was first in Gillette, and we've been friends, and in Luminous, and of course Naveen is our own dear colleague. So thank you everybody, and thank you students for just being silent and for honoring the stillness. I was very inspired by how you remained absolutely quiet when the chanting was going on. That's so beautiful. I want to congratulate each one of you, and thank you and welcome to this time and to this space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that rousing introduction. We're now about to begin this conversation, and it's a great opportunity for all of you to learn from three of India's greatest business leaders, who have all been guided at one level or the other by Anil and his connection with them. So let's begin. Without further ado, I begin the conversation. So the first chapter of the book talks about the two lies of leadership, which Sir just spoke about. And the two lies are about whether you lead others or you lead yourself, right? You think that you lead other people, but we essentially lead ourselves, and other people follow by virtue of what they see in you. So, and the other lie being about whether leaders are born, are they born leaders, or can build leaders, can become a leader, can be shaped. So, using that question, Vinodji, I think maybe I'd put this question to you as a self-made man who saw Aisha grow. You've grown through the ranks and seen the life of the organization from beginning to where it is. It's a phenomenal organization. So, what do you think, sir? Do you think leaders are born or can they be developed? Or they develop themselves? What's your opinion on?
First of all, I am very grateful to you that you invited me for this function, and also on the very auspicious day of Guru Puja. And of course, compliments to you only for a very remarkable book, and which one thing I wanted to tell all of you is that this book is all about his pearls of wisdom over the last maybe more than 50 years. And whatever is written there, it is all based on actual facts and actual whatever he has taught or he has experienced over the years. There are so many live examples. So therefore, I think this is a extremely good lifetime work which you have done. And of course, this is not enough to read it once and put it in the shelf. You have to read it again and again, because every time you will read it, you will find new intuitions from this book. So it's a great thing, and compliments to you again. Now coming back to your question, and I think whatever is written in the book, I absolutely agree with that. And of course, I 100% agree that the responsibility for becoming a successful leader is first you have to lead yourself, not that you are leading others. That's absolutely true, because as Anil mentioned in his opening speech, we are all responsible for our own behavior, for our own conduct, for our own values, for our own egos, our own well-being. So if we are able to manage ourselves well, then of course there are chances that we will become a good successful leader. And and inspired leader. If you are inspired, then people get inspired looking at you. So basically, it is all about yourself. So you have to lead a very, very disciplined and simple life. So that is absolutely true. And then of course the second thing is also leaders are not born; they become leaders based on their own talent. So I fully agree with you. Hiri.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. He was very humble, and he actually, incidentally, in part of the introduction, I'm not sure if they included it. He's been felicitated as the CEO of the year in the automotive industry, and the president of SNAL, he can be like Center of the Manufacturers, and he's also headed the Automotive Skill Development Council among various achievements.
Several national awards, but we love him a lot because his daughter Astha is an alum of soil.
So if I turn this same question to you, sir, Vipulji, what are your thoughts around these two lives?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, I think it's really a pleasure and honor to be at Soil. I think I'm coming back after about 4 years. I think when I was moving out of Luminous, I think I had the opportunity to come here. Secondly, a very divine day today. Thank you, sir, for inviting us and putting this session in today. I came in just around the time when the prayer was happening. So happy Guru Purnima to all of you. And a great future. All of you are going to go into the corporate world sooner or later. So I think, I saw the book. I'm going to take it more than 3 minutes. Only asked for also. So, and I said, okay, a lot of books about leadership. I mean, if you go into Amazon and just type leadership, there are about 200 books out there. And I've known Anil for quite some time. And I said, okay, let me, get to read the book and, buy the book and also work in my to the launch. But I think the first line of the first chapter, I think made me stop and think what is being said, which is that, leaders are not born. And secondly, you don't get other building the own yourself. And actually, when I was reading the book, I stopped. I actually sat back and thought for about a minute, what a profound statement. You don't need to, you can read the chapter, you can read the whole book, and which you should, all of you. But I think the most important point is that it tells you that, and I'm going to relate to another place from where I'm coming from. I started work back in before. There was no digital media, nothing. You had to buy a book. But today, there's so much information available. Also, at the same time, a lot of distraction available. So, being focused, thinking what you think is right, what is inside you, and spending time with your own self to evolve on yourself is something which comes with time. It's a virtue which you develop. And sometimes we just do silent mentally and thinking, what is my purpose? What I want to do? And how I want to achieve it. It's important. Leadership ultimately will have an impact upon what others will do, depending upon what you will do. But I think first the perception of your own self, and what you want to do, and how you want to do is important. The second one, I think the book has got some very great stories about of people or the shape on this biography. I think crisis may not be the right word, but situations make leaders. And many of them have evolved to this degree. And when you read some of the biographies of great leaders, you see from where they started and what situation they made, this situation they turned into an opportunity to make stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and move on from there. I just take one loss. And I remember Anand said, I think it was 2006. Am I right, sir? Gillette. One fine morning, Gillette was a top performing company. It's a big company that share a secret. Most people had worked there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And the day it announced on the ticker on the US stock exchange, Gillette acquired by PNG. External force, little much we can do about it. 70% of the people, the last CV they had was when they joined the company, even my boss, who was a managing director that time. They were shocked. Don't know what to do. But I think came Manesar and said, listen guys, what is outside you has zero impact. What you guys want to do is most important. And I think then the whole piece worked around and that turned around and how you talk to the employees and so on and so forth. And believe you me, that year was a top performance of Juliet India. It was probably one of the best performances in India. That's not end the story. Just here about 30 seconds. This when the team were involved, placement of the people. We would never heard of that situation in the corporate world. We had about 150 to 200 people this year. We worked with the outlets. Then we sat down and read the CVs. Each one of those CVs were made. And they said, actually went to each of the CVs. 150 CVs checked the in-person. Then we had a CD made. We sent it to companies saying, we have a great sales force. We don't need it. PK doesn't need them. Can we outplace them? Believe me, we got a response much larger than we would ever anticipate. We have to hold campus placements in 4 cities. Never heard companies telling us what employees are out for placement. And the rule was any employee can only take 2 offers. Can you believe that in a company? And by the end of I think it was 6 weeks or 8 weeks program, everybody was out. Like there were about 4 or 5 of them left, which through personal connections they got out. It got a reward for one of the best HR practices in the country. And thank you, Anasa, for leading it.
Any more credit than I deserve. It's all they who did it. We only had it. As you know, as an advisor, you can only say this is possible. But people who do the work is all of them. The way they treat people was superb. But yes, that did get the best integration award in PNG globally. It also got the best award for the local management practice in the country. Thanks to them. So thank you, Vipul. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I keep coming back to you. Now, as we move on the conversation, the second chapter is about the power of storytelling. In fact, this is something that all of you have learned in the sourcing inspiration class about how it is so powerful to be able to tell a good story of your life and how that can build the narrative of your life can build what you go on to become. So, sort of crossing over from the first chapter to the second chapter, Rajesh, will you be able to share some thoughts about how you shaped Amway and how your own personal life connects with these 2 chapters?
More Rajneesh, I'll paraphrase the question. What was the story you were telling yourself about yourself when you were a young person wanting to do something in life? In your own company of yourself, what was the story you were telling yourself?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I think I'm coming here after a very long time, Anil, and it just reflects back on down the memory lane on what I witnessed in soil when I used to live in India, and now I'm back for the last couple of years, and I want to start by saying sorry that apologies that I walked in a little late. And that's one thing that I never like to do. I like to get to a place wherever I'm supposed to be at least 30 minutes before. That's part of what my leadership principles are, right? You don't show up late. You show up way before time. And so as I reflect on the transformation journey, right, when I was gone and coming back to India, nothing has changed from certain standpoint, right? So when a road accident happens, like it did this morning for my car, the same thing happens even now, which is 2 people disagreeing on the road. Police comes in, and I'm requesting my driver. I said, I gotta go. He's like, no, 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 don't worry, we'll resolve it right now. And that resolve thing took about close to 30 minutes before he allowed me to sit in an Uber and get out of there. So I'm very fortunate. I've known Anil for a long time, and I have deepest respect for what I have personally learned from him. It's unfortunate that I have not been able to spend time with him ever since I've come back. I've been pretty swamped with many things that I was trying to do for leading our transformation. So I'm thankful to all of you for welcoming us and to be able to speak to you. And my heart is full of gratitude. Uh, I'm also very thankful and grateful to our entire Amway leadership team, which is sitting right here. So thank you for taking the time out to be here. I requested you all to be participating. I did not know that I'm going to get 100% participation, which is great. So reflecting back on my own personal story and my journey, right? We all have our own story. We should. I started off my career with in a company called Revlon and started with cosmetics, beauty products, and then moved on to Sony before I joined Amway in India. And from there, I got the opportunity to move to the United States at a very senior role way back in 2010. And I want to reflect on that story a little bit because, I thought I was caught in different issues, complexity, aging parents, young children, uh, great life, potentially becoming the regional president for Southeast Asia. So a lot of things were being thrown at me at that point in time. And because I was unclear in my mind, and because I did not have somebody who was giving me clarity, I chose to take no decision or literally say no to the opportunity and refuse and walk away. And I was very fortunate when it presented itself again in 2011 and 2012. By the end of 2012, I was gone. So I was leading all the front end functions in India prior to that, and then I was working with Amway North America, responsible for the business in the United States, Canada, and Caribbean. And the responsibility I had was to turn around a business which was declining for over 2 decades. So our India business was almost $500 million at that point in time. And we were on our way to becoming $1 billion business. But unfortunately, by coming back, I realized obviously we lost much ground and a lot has changed and transformed from that perspective. Having lived in different parts of the world, so we were over a decade in Michigan, and then I chose to leave Amway and look for some other things because I think I was probably the youngest person who had no idea what he's going to do at 49 years of age. And at that point in time, I decided that I'm going to try something different. I'm just going to take a break and I'm going to reconnect with my family. It's been too long. Everybody asked me this question. Do you know what you're going to do? I said, no, I don't know. And don't ask me this again and again. It frustrates me, right? I can't even tell you that when you have the confidence in your own abilities, the whole world will keep asking you what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. But it's your confidence in yourself, and there's nothing more powerful than that. If I was to talk about the story of my life, I think it's the confidence, it's the belief that I had that things can be done, whichever, regardless of what geography you're in. You have to understand one thing. And I was asked this question very recently. I was speaking to the US employees. What is that one thing that you would talk about to all the new employees coming in and the new business owners coming into our business? What is that one word? Integrity. And I always say, lead with integrity. Follow it. Don't to the hilt of the word, right? Follow it truly, because it has a lot of meaning and power, and it helps you make decisions when you are at crossroads. And to me, that's been one thing which has served me extremely well. Um, the other piece that I reflect on the transformation journey that we are on in India is people. I always put people before anything else. It's very important that you build that empathy for people. And Anil's book very purely describes this, right from what leadership is, your inner self, how you reflect on it. Um, I've been asked by this question by media all the time. So what are your financial goals? I said, my financial goals are to reach 5 million people's lives by the end of 2029. That hasn't changed. That's the mission we're on. And that is going to be our financial goal. So they don't believe it. The journalists don't believe me. They'll still ask me in a different way. I said, it hasn't changed. It's still 5 million people's lives. That's the goal that we have. We're going to reach transformation of 5 million people's lives. So I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to come back and be able to serve people in India and to be able to serve my colleagues as well as all our business owners all around in the country. I have I remember one incident that I can share with you with Mr. Anil, which goes back probably 25 years ago. Some of you may have just been born. No, I'm just kidding. But 25 years ago, I can tell you that, um, I got one of the most powerful lessons personally over a breakfast conversation with Anil. He may not even remember this because he coaches people all the time, right? He talks to people all the time. So, this was about how you lead and build trust, which I could take a whole day to talk about trust, right? And I learned so much in those 30 minutes that I spent with Anil about how do you build trust and how do you implement it. I've come across the Franklin Coveys of the world. I've worked with many people across my career, and one thing which a lot of leaders or HR gurus or leadership big professionals teach you. One thing I learned from Anil was execution, flawless execution. You can have the best strategy, building the best strategy in a boardroom, but that's only 20% of the job. 80% is about execution. And execution, you need people to come together. And that is what true leadership is all about. So thank you, Anil. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Okay, Navishji, you went straight from chapter 2 to chapter 8 or 9 where we talk about execution. We'll come back to the execution point because I think execution is one of the things we are not so great at. But moving on to the next chapter, which is about the discovery of gifts. All of you are very gifted people, everybody in this room. And as the course, as we teach you in this, it is your purpose to discover your gifts. And I request Anil sir to sort of share a few thoughts around how can you discover your own gifts and leverage them.
I have a friend who unfortunately we lost him last year. His name is James Doty. When James was 12 years old, his mother went into clinical depression. The ones who are talking with each other at the back, I'm addressing my conversation to you because you were talking to each other. So I just want to address you. Dr. James Doty, who passed away last year when he was 12 years old, his mother was clinically depressed. And his father was an alcoholic. So he thought his life is over. And he also went into depression as a little child. He couldn't speak to anybody about his problems. But then there was a magic shop in his little town. He was staying in the US. He went to the magic shop. There was a very kind older woman sitting there called Ruth. And Ruth began to talk to him. He said, what's your name? He said, my name is James. Where are you from? The way she began to talk to him, as if he was very special. For the first time, he began to speak. Tell me, what have you done in the last few years that have given you immense happiness? He couldn't say anything. what do you love doing the most? The conversation then he said, James said, I want you to come back and meet Ruth. And Ruth said, I'm here for a month. Come back and talk to me every afternoon. And he began to understand that there are great things possible inside from within him, that there are some unique gifts he has, which he has not even explored as a child. He began to explore. The conversation of his mind began to change. He went on to dream, like Ruth told him, dream. Don't be miserly in your dream. But I want to be a neurosurgeon. I want to be the best neurosurgeon in the world. Sure enough, James Doty became the #1 neurosurgeon in the world, the head of Stanford Neurosurgery, created what is called the Center for Altruism and Compassion there, became the emissary of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Incidentally, book which is called Into the Magic Shop was converted by BTS, the K-pop group in Korea, into a song, and it was the top of the chart busters for many months. Book of James Doty converted into a K-pop song. All the story about what's possible when you take responsibility for your own strengths and you tell yourself what are your strengths rather than worry about your weaknesses. You appreciate what you have rather than worry about what you don't have. This whole approach of having this sense of abundance, knowing what you're good at doing, and focusing on that removes the entire focus from what's missing in life and what you don't have. And this is the power of appreciating your gifts and the power of gratitude that you learn in our life, which I learned from my dear friend, Dr. James Doty, whom we unfortunately last year passed away. So that's the example I wanted to give.
Thank you, sir. Moving on from the chapter 3, the 4th chapter talks about the power of conscious learning. Learning from the past, from the present and the future. And as refers to these 3 ways of learning, as it were, hindsight, learning from the past, by using introspection. The second aspect is learning from the moment, by reflecting on the moment, reflecting on your actions and how you're thinking. And finally, achieving a state of flow by using your foresight, by learning about the possibilities. So the 3rd chapter talks about how we can be better learners by being conscious learners. So, any thoughts, Rajneesh or Vinodji, on this chapter or Vipul?
Yes, some fascinating things to share about.
No, absolutely. I think learning is one thing that should not stop. So we are ever learners. That's one thing which, of course, all of us have to keep in mind, that we have to always remain open to invite more and more things. In fact, we had tremendous, learning when we did our study on the heavy duty trucks. I will share you the story on our heavy duty trucks in Volvo Eicher commercial vehicles.
Can you hear Vinod at the back? Can you hear him at the back? Okay, good. Yeah.
So when we started this joint venture, our market share in heavy duty trucks was only 1%. And of course, heavy duty truck is the largest market of the commercial vehicle. It's the largest segment by value as well as by numbers as well. The JV and the market size, I'm saying, it is the largest by value. And we being only 1%, that was our main purpose of the joint venture. That how do we become big in the heavy duty trucks? And then the initial thought was that we have to have the best of the products. And with Volvo with us as partner, the technology was available and we could learn, we could adopt a lot of things, and then we made the best of the products, but the market shares didn't improve. So then that is where that we had the deep learning, that what is it which is not making us grow faster, or what is it that our market shares are not doing, even though our products are good, everything is good. And that is where then we started getting into more deep. We went and met hundreds of customers that what is it, why they are not buying our trucks in spite of those trucks being good. And of course, on our own calculations, if you calculate on paper, our trucks were delivering are supposed to deliver the best of fuel efficiency, and they should be the least cost of ownership. But in spite of all that, if customers were not buying us, then it means something was not okay. So then I think the biggest lesson which we had was that the customers they care a lot about uptime. Like if the truck goes off the road, uh, are they going to get the parts? Are they going to get the service immediately? Because these are all business assets. They have to deliver goods on time. They are serving their customer. And if there is delay in delivering the goods, then of course they will not get it. So if it is there in their mind that this truck is good, but if it is not able to deliver on time, if suppose it breaks down, will I get the part? So I think that was the thing which was disturbing them a lot. So then we started working on the parts, we started working on uptime, we started working on digitalization. We took a lot of steps. And then we started demonstrating to the customers that how we are going to make sure that your truck will be put back on the road, or you will get the best response time. And then we started measuring all these things. That how do we measure response time at our dealerships? Are they giving service? If some particular service needs so much time, how much actual time it is taking, what time the trucks gets into the workshop, what time it goes out. So then you have to go deeper and deeper. And the more you went to deeper, then you had more learnings. So I think with that learning, we were able to convince the customer. And step by step, then we were able to improve the market share. I'm very happy that today our market share in heavy duty trucks is 10%. And of course, as we go, okay, this is only the beginning. The market is still very large. And of course, heavy duty truck is such a market where lot of companies active. You take an example of MAN, you take an example of Navistar, you take an example of AMW, you take an example of General Motors in 80s. So a lot of companies came and then they were not able to get because it was such a strong duopoly, such a strong barriers to enter. So therefore, I think it is a continuous learning. We are still learning in that. So therefore, learning never stops. That's what I wanted to say. And we have to always try to find out more and more new things and work on.
Right. Our students do internships with Warner. Yes, many of them. And I've heard them talking about this focus on quality and customer service. And I can completely relate to what you're saying. And with it's wonderful to see Volvo trucks on the road now. Beautiful machines. I share Volvo, yeah. You don't brand them Volvo?
No, they are two both are two separate brands. Both carry different values. Both carry different customer sets. Basically, the customer needs are different. Volvo trucks they operate in very high end lines, and they do very stringent work. Like for example, in 4 mines, there we have to give 200 meters deep into the mine and carry very huge load, and you need to have absolutely safety of a very high standards because we are carrying big stones and then on a steep height. So therefore, and whereas Aisha is a mass market, there of course you have to do haulage and then various types of things which are not as stringent. So therefore, both are different price points, and we never combine the brands.
Okay.
That's how it is.
Thank you. Moving on to the next chapter, which is about thinking, the different way, whole brain thing, right? You have the creative side and you have the rational side of you. It's also about the quality of decisions that we make. And it's about systems thinking rather than thinking in silos. Very interesting chapter. I think all of you as managers will need to learn how to do these properly. So Rajneesh ji and Vipul ji, would you like to share some thoughts around decision making?
Yeah, I think I'd love to talk about decision making because I feel I'm far on the left side of being very decisive. You got the data and the facts, and you got all the reasons why you should be making a decision. I'll give you a personal insight, right? This happened to me in 2022, before I accepted the role to come to India. Um, I was advising a few billion-dollar businesses on emerging markets, on pricing, portfolio, and as I was advising them, month after month got by, and um, you know, I asked them. I said, "So what are you going to do next?" They looked at me. They said, "We don't know." I said, "I've presented to you all the facts and figures and data and what you should do and how it should. You have all the competitive benchmarking. You have all the tools, all the analytics. Why are you hesitant? What prevents you from making those decisions? Is it the fear? The fear of going wrong? Is it the fear of being challenged? Is it the fear of you looking bad if it doesn't work out? What is it, right? So, as I was advising some of these top leaders on what they should be doing, a funny thing happened. They told me, you have a lot of credibility. Why don't you come and present to our board? Maybe we get a board approval then. That was the most weird thing that I've ever heard. I'll tell you why, because I was not part of the organization. I'm an outsider. You got to believe in your people. You got to believe in your team. You got to believe in the people who are working day in and day out to be able to. Doesn't mean that should not be open to learning from others. You always should be open to learning from others. But that actually changed my personal trajectory also. And I said, if I have to do advising, probably not now. This is not the time because I'm very decisive and I am very action oriented. And it's meaningless to see my work and my effort and my commitment towards something which is not being executed or implemented. And I have no control over it, right? To make sure that it gets executed, it gets implemented. A decision delayed is like recognition. A recognition delayed is lost recognition. You've heard of that before, right? If I delay recognizing you for your effort, your commitment, what you have achieved, what you have accomplished, and if I delay doing that, and I tell you after 6 months, oh my gosh, remember on so and so date in April, or May or June, you did such a good job. You're going to look at me and say, what an ingenuous. So one of the biggest things for me is that you recognize people right there, right now. And the same thing with decisions. You cannot labor decisions. You're doing disservice to people. And learn how to make those decisions and stop being in the flux where you are asking for more details, where all the details are in front of you to make that decision. And so as you work in organizations, sometimes the culture of the organization is such that they may require more time to do certain things. And I encourage all of you to challenge status quo. I encourage myself, I encourage everybody around me to challenge status quo. How can we do this better? What will it take for us to do this better? Right? Why are we not pushing ourselves, right? Why are we not deciding on this thing? And I realized that, culturally, right, in the US, I can tell you for a fact that if I give you a word that will be done, it'll be done. Your word is your word. Your word is your word. Literally. And in India, culturally, we're different. Ho jayega. Have you heard that line before? Ho jayega. So I always say, give me a timeline. Who's accountable for it? Which one of you is accountable? 99% of the time, the decisions are lost because people don't know who's accountable for it, who's responsible for it, or they don't want to take responsibility or accountability. So hold people accountable and you will get decisions. You will get results. And I think that to me, that's probably one of the most important aspects of leadership.
Very powerful message that you send out to all our students here. when you go into organizations, your superpower is your fresh eyes. The fact that you enter a new organization, don't just go with the flow, challenge the status quo. That is why you've been hired. That is the expectation from all of you. Don't just sort of settle into the way this is how things are. And the reason you're hired is to challenge status quo. So please do that. Yes, please.
I think that you said it very well. I think there is this, to add to what he said is another dimension of the culture. When you're going to walk in different organizations with different cultures, different points of time in your career, and the consciousness will get you to spend some time with yourself in the organization to see what the culture and what the fabric looks like. You know, you people will have, most of you will have like a global career. Okay, the initial said you'll have people from the Western world, you'll have people from the Asian world, you have people from different parts of the world. And you'll have to go to China to work with at some point. Spend some time to understand the culture. Because a yes does not mean yes in many cultures. The guys say yes does not mean yes. So you spend time. There are many signals to catch. There is nice signal, talking, there's socializing. Well, I work in Thailand, and very difficult to understand what is behind the face, what they want to say, what they don't want to say. We had to do a major transformation of the sales system in a company when I was in Nokia there. 60% market, guys had never, seen, blood on the street and fighting on for market. We had to change the distribution system, and they were all powerful companies. There were people who were related to the dynasty, people, biggest companies in that in the city and so on and so forth. So they were all scared. I said, we're not going for change, you guys are going for commercial. It took us about 6 weeks. Discussion and discussion and discussion. But once they were convinced that this is, if they don't do it, there is more death, more pain. And once they were convinced, the execution was flawed. So just to add to another dimension to what they teach, understand the culture and the fabric of the organization. It will be very different from company to company. You move, they may be in the same industry, you move to the company. I rightly said in the book, understand the consciousness, understand whom we're dealing with, and what change the person needs, the motivation he needs to be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. I think that came into the next chapter, which is about building trust across cultures. Now, all of you have worked with organizations, so American culture and Indian culture. You how does it work? I'm very curious to know now. With Mitsubishi, it was Japanese culture, and Eicher, and with Volvo, it was Swedish, Scandinavian company. I also worked with IKEA for a long time, a Scandinavian company. So very interesting to see how these cultures man. How do you the question right now? So this is probably the most important aspect of organizational success, building trust across cultures. So how do you make it happen? What are your thoughts?
I think you have a very good question. I think the first chapter talks about it that leadership is not about what others do, leadership is about what you do. And if you are disciplined, if you are transparent, and if you are, I just take a small anecdote and, it was just one, I want to bring the story up to bring for the line. At one point of time in my last organization, sorry, can you hear me at the back?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So in my last organization, we had to get into a legal litigation. And this is a very difficult litigation for Schneider. What do we do? How do we do? So we had to go and meet an arbitrator. Because as part of the process, you have to go and meet an arbitrator, tell a whole story, and so on and so forth. So he said in the end, he wrote a whole 2-hour meeting in Delhi. He said, Satya mein jayate. He said, Satya mein jayate. He said, Satya to ek hi hai. Satya to ek hi hai. There's only one version of the truth. And that left me in awe. This guy going to fight a case. And then he's saying, guys, after 2 hours of listening to you, I now know the truth. So imagine what kind of confusion and distortion exists in organizations and lives and so on and so forth. So if you have one version of truth and follow that principle, you will build trust over a period of time. And trust will come from your conduct, what you speak. Sometimes if you don't speak, there's another way to communicate. But there is always one person or two. And if you follow that line, if you follow that principle, you will build trust for many, many, many years, whether it is professional life, personal life, parents, children, social, wherever you do. It's very painful initially, but there's only one person.
Just want to narrate a little story. We were asked by the board of Tatas to select the next MD of Tata Steel. So this was an exercise we were doing with Mr. Ratan Tata and the board of Tata Steel. So while doing the work, Mr. Tata had his own candidate in mind who should be the MD. Mr. Nasli Wadia had his own candidate, and so on and so forth. Each one wanted somebody to be promoted. And we did this succession planning work covering all the top 100 leaders of Tata Steel. Incidentally, we did it 3 times. That means 3 times the MD, including when Mr. Narendra was chosen, we were called in to do this work. Now, it's very interesting. We did a scientific process. We interviewed people, we did some psychometrics, we did 360, we did all that work, right? We also asked for performance data of those people in the company. So it was like helping them to prepare a profile for each person to be considered. So where does trust come in? Because you have data from within the company, you have a data of objective sort of criteria, you have some outside senior leaders interviewing these people, collecting information. But when we went to present to the board in Bombay House, the meeting lasted for almost 6 hours. It was quite an intense meeting. And each time I would present, and I was presenting that, let's say, Mr. Muthuraman's name, who should be the next MD. We were really challenged a lot. And they were questioning everything that we were saying. Later on, Dr. Jamshed Irani, my dear friend who knows more, he sent our report to Arthur D. Little, which was another consulting company. And they had a senior partner who used to do this work for top companies all over the world. He said, can you please vet this report to these people, know what they have done? Because the first time they got us to work, right? Later on, Dr. Irani showed me the feedback. He said, Anil, the trust we got in the work that you did was not because you were giving a report, because we had independently checked the quality of the work for so many different people, and we allowed your observations to be challenged by every board member so that they can understand what's going on, and there is no hesitation that happens. And I remember Mr. Tata told me when the whole thing was over, he said, and then when you first presented your report to us, I said that this seemed like some HR stuff, you know, and I didn't know whether this was having any scientific reasons at all. But you came strongly recommended, so we decided to work with you. But he said, after you finish your work and you gave the report, a few years later, I was reading your report and looking at what has happened to each person since then. Then I discovered that whatever was written by your team is actually been seen in the behavior of these people. So then I realized that either you are some kind of a magician, or there is a science behind it, and you know exactly what you are doing. He said that is what has made us trust you, and now we have brought you back to do it one more time for the organization. So the trust is earned through all kinds of interesting conversations and the ability for people to challenge without any fear, express all the doubts and even challenge the so-called experts, so that there is no gospel truth. Everybody must do that. So that's how trust has been earned in the world.
I lean into trust all the time because, as in our business, we are the largest direct selling company globally. So we are also the number one dietary selling, vitamin nutrition company, around the world. And nobody sells more protein and nobody sells more omega than us. And as I look and reflect on that, how do you do that? it's the underlying factor of everything we do is we deliver trust every single time. And we've got hundreds and thousands of our business owners coming back into the business right now. And as I look at different geographies, or people living in the United States, or people living in Europe, people living in India, there's something which is central and which I call as trust is like a bank. You make deposits and you make withdrawals. That's my own thinking, right? It's not what Anil taught me. So I just want to make sure you know that I think trust is totally like a bank. And if your withdrawals are more than your deposit, you're in a deficit. And you're going to rebuild that. And trust can always be rebuilt. But the underlying factor which people look at you for trust or not to trust you is authenticity. Your authenticity, your being genuine, your empathy. Besides all the other things that you might do, that how do the people want to recognize you, or how do people will remember you down the road? Were you a leader who led with values, with purpose? And did you really stood true to your word of what you said about people? That can change, but you have to build trust, and trust is not built in a day. Trust is built through consistency. Trust is built through your actions, which are consistent over a period of time. And in this conversation of trust, as we are leading a lot of transformation in India right now, I would like to draw in Apur, who's our head of sales, to take a minute and talk about it, and also Simran, who have been working on transformation. Any thoughts, reflections? Guys, please share.
After this, we will start, you to ask questions as well. I mean,
Yes,
after this,
We-
the students should be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, students are not speaking.
When we saw, Amway was going through a transformative period. Was going through a lot of issues in the market, with the distributor, the way the business was happening. And I felt the way it, works out in any organization is that there has to be a trust between the consumer and the company. And in our case, the direct seller of the company, the management. And what is the company? The company is the management. And I think there was a basic trust deficit that had happened over a period of time. And the way the company was operating was to look at a situation where we start talking about, winning that trust back. And I think that the starting point of that, and I think one of the bigger decisions that the company took at a global level was to go back and ask Rajneesh to come back. He had left the company. We said, let's get him back. Because he had worked the market, he had worked when the company was launched, and it had happened over a period. And then when he came back, that became a starting point of winning the trust back of the distributors and the customers, because they had known the point of time when the organization was growing, that was good for them, and they could relate it back to the management at that point of time. So a person coming back also creates that starting point of building that trust. And then you do a lot of work in terms of how do you really catch on and do the things that are really going to help get that trust to the next level, right? So it's about coming back and then taking those steps and actions that are really in line with the values that the company is, there for, is recognized for. And then that was the transformation story that started happening. So when he started that transformation 2 years back, 2.5 years back, as he came back and he started working on simplifying the business for our distributors, ensuring that we have the right communication happening to our customers, ensuring that we are doing the things that represent the values and the founding fundamentals that Amway has built on and is famous for 70 years, right? So for 70 years, we have been, in the world, nearly 70 years, at least when are saying it is another 2 years' time. Very few companies globally can claim to be successful 70 years. And that too across, multiple countries, multiple categories, and 70 years is across generations, right? So we have the third generation of our founding family actually now coming in business. Some of our distributors, direct sellers across the globe, their third generation and fourth generation are coming into the business. In India, we have the second generation coming into the business. In India, we're completing our 30th in over 2 years' time. So what happens is that as a company evolves, it becomes crucial that you are able to create that trust with the consumers, with the distribution that you have with your partners. And I think the starting point again is to what Anil wrote in his book, and we've been talking about it, and we spoke about it, starts from the step. And I think instead of looking at the market and the customer and the distributor and expecting them to change, what we did and what Rajneesh started doing was starting that change within the organization, within the people, getting the right people into the right seats, ensuring that we had the best interests of our customers and our distributors in mind, and make those changes that reflected again getting that trust back. So I think it was a journey, and as Rajneesh always talks about it, it's like a deposit, right? So right now we are depositing, we are not withdrawing. And when we get to a point where we need to withdraw, but it becomes a partnership, right? So that trust that happens between the consumer and the company is, I think, the most important part of any business. And I think that is what that.
That's the point well said. And what you're hearing here on trust, you may just be feeling that, Rajneesh is feeling here, but I can tell you, this has been something which has had a great foundation. Even yesterday, Rajneesh was with one of the very senior chief of bureau of one of the publications. He put across this question that, okay, Rajneesh, what is it that you're looking for? What will bring you growth? Typically, what they would expect is somebody would say that, okay, we're planning to launch these 10 products, or these are, more investments that we're going to be doing. There was just one word answer I could give. He said, we're going to be building more trust. Trust is going to get us growth. And I think that was the starting point, that what does trust translate into? And I would say that we already started to see a lot of changes, and it's very simply said, but it requires a lot of hard work. Of course, when he came back, why distributors were happy, because there was a certain currency, trust that the currency had built already when he came back and brought back that credibility. How can it help and translate the organization to grow? And it was not just external, it was internal for employees too. Because for us also seeing it in a light that, okay, how this translates to reputation, how this translates to goal, how we all live our values, because it's not just as a leader that he's representing himself. He can talk as much, but then his leadership has to also demonstrate the same. And I think those are the values that we're talking about, which carry forward to our teams and so on. So I think as you go out, my message would be that I'm sure you'll reflect back on this, why we emphasize so much on trust. And that's a topic that I think to us is a starting point and goes on till the end point, which continues to grow. So thank you so much.
Yes. So, thank you, Team Amway, and I hope you hire management graduates at some point. We'd like to see you that in this. Students, I'm sure you forward to doing that. But truly amazing company. I think considering multi-level marketing in this era, one would think that in direct selling would you be tremendously successful. Thank you for that. Moving over to the audience. Yeah, please ask you to state your name, your question, and address it to one of the audience.
Ask, sorry,
who wants the
person to answer the question.
Vishal Kala. And first of all, on the occasion of Guru Purnima, let me just wish all my gurus sitting here and my esteemed fraternity members, including my parents. So my question to Anil sir. Sir, it's very inspiring to hear every one of our esteemed guests to share that brief moment they had with you. Way in the past, and they even remember the timeline. So it's very inspiring. And sir, I want to know from you, what was your moment? Is it then you were seeking for spirituality, or how did you find a guru? Right? Was it a coincidence? So my question is, do we need a guru? My question is, do we need a guru? Do we need to find for a guru? Or is it that we have to focus on ourselves only? Can we do it?
I was very blessed that my parents had a spiritual background, and my father, when I was 5 years old, he was an army officer, and he was very fond of, all the things, having a good time, every day going to the club, having a drink. He was a chain smoker. But one day when he went to call his friend to take him to the club, his wife told him, today he won't come with you to the club because he has gone to Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan where Swami Chinmayananda is giving a talk. So he said, what is this God man and why is he wasting his time? So he went to pull him out of the talk, his friend. But he entered the room and something happened to him and he got completely changed because Swamiji was asking this two questions. Who are you? So the guy was answering to himself, my name is so-and-so, I'm so-and-so old, I've done my MA in literature, philosophy, I work as a civilian officer in the Indian Army, I have so many children. And Swamiji was either talking to him, saying, I'm not asking your qualification, I'm not asking if you're married, I'm not asking if you have children, who are you? So what kind of a question is that? Then he was asking, why are you here? So he was answering to himself, I am here to pull my friend out of the top. But Swamiji was asking, why were you born? What kind of question is that? My parents got married, I was born. How do I know why I was born? He was asking, the day you discover who you are and why you are born, that day will be your birth. That is your spiritual birth. So far, it's only physiological birth. And he reminded everybody in the audience that the purpose of education means know yourself. The literal meaning of the word educate, know yourself. So for every young person in this room, discover what your uniqueness is. Every human being is unique. And you will intuitively be guided. You will want to do something which is linked to your strength, something you will enjoy. Honor that. Don't try to copy someone else. Honor your uniqueness. Second, ask, what am I come here to do? I have come here to do something in this world. What's the song I have come here to sing? Every person has come here to sing a song. What's my song? Don't be satisfied with just a limited answer that my objective is that I'll get a good job, a good placement, and become CEO at 40 and then play golf and retire. Make so many $1 million. I mean, that even animals do in that sense. Everybody, even animals get married, they also have children, they also so-called take care of it. But you are a human being. Why are you a human? What have you come here to do? How will your life make things better for the world? Ask that question. It can be a small thing. It might be that I want to work in an organization where I want to contribute to excellence in that organization and I want that to become the best in what it does. And my role is to become the best person to serve that. That's fine too. You don't only have to be like Mother Teresa. But ask, what am I good at? And what is the one thing that I will do that will give me immense happiness? Because when I find that, I look at work as a place for me to express the highest in myself. Then every day you will look forward to going to work. Every day you will love the people you work with. Every day you will find a reason to be happy and not to keep searching for something which is elusive. So that's what the spiritual teacher was guiding, and that's what I was told. And when you are ready, the teacher appears. And when you are totally ready, the teacher disappears. That is said about a spiritual teacher. When you are truly ready, the teacher will appear. And when you are completely ready, the teacher will disappear. That's what I do. Yes, please.
My name is Nilesh Tiwari, and I'm very happy Guru Purnima to everyone. So my question is, how to find that teacher, sir? Like how to find that guru whom we want to like. Sometimes it happens like we want a guru, but there is no guru. So is there something that how we can find a guru for ourselves?
I will quote Rumi. I will quote Rumi. So my friend, I'll quote Rumi for you. When the longing is fierce, the knowing happens. When the longing is fierce, if you are really longing for a spiritual teacher of this kind, the teacher will appear. Because we are not having purity of our intent, because our quest is not sincere, therefore we keep on asking how. A very dear friend of mine is a wonderful author. His name is Peter Block. He has written a book. The book is called The Answer to How is Yes. We keep asking how because the yes is not firm in our own heart. The day the yes is firm, then how will be found? But I'm sure my other colleagues here on the panel, because you are asking me questions, but please, there are some very talented leaders here. Please ask them questions as well. What can you see? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, afternoon to you, all our respected leaders. And I know you guys have a massive stories to tell us. So I just want to ask Rajni sir, as an MD of Academia India, uh, like as a student in a group of some people, how you like in a massive group of people pick those peoples who you trust or who you can trust in your organization so you can work with him further.
Take the right thing.
I think that's a wonderful question, and I reflect on this from my personal story and to what Aril said earlier on, which I think if you bring attention to his words, he used the term conversations, and don't have frivolous conversations to know people, know them genuinely, and even if it takes a little bit more toll on you in terms of your time. I have an open door policy. Anybody can walk in and anybody can talk to me about anything that they want. Unfortunately, because of what is happening in the business, that is not happening right now the way it should, because I'm swamped with stuff that I'm trying to accomplish. But to know people, it's extremely important to have those conversations and leave the titles out of the door. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters the quality of the conversation where you can connect with the person and know with sincerity what is the person's passion, what does the person want to do, how is this going to be a good fit or not a good fit. And I think that also I use those conversations to be, I call it crucial conversations, right? Critical conversations. And that becomes a starting point for you to determine a lot about the person, also about their passion and what they would aspire to do, going forward. So I think it's about that. That would be the starting point in my perspective.
Thank you so much.
More questions? Yeah, there is.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Yatika. So my question is to Mr. Vinod Agarwal, sir. So you mentioned in your conversation with Rajat that at every point of time we just always learn. So what is that one thing or one learning that you wish to seek at this point of time in your life?
It's a very good question. Uh, I think absolutely I have to keep on discovering myself. That how do I improve myself more? So therefore, always I have to find new things. I have to see new vistas. I always said, going to find when you are ready, then you will find your guru. So I think all these things matters. So I think I need to learn a lot still. And I'm not sure whether I will to answer this or not. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
She wanted to ask a question there. Please raise your hand here for it.
Hello to everyone. So, on the event of Guru Purnima, first of all, I would like to remember my parents and all my gurus from school, from college, and till this university. So, hello, sir. My question to all of you is like we always see from the point of view of the students and like aspiration of becoming an employee basically. But when you all are at the same ground, is you all are an employer and but like not from from not since childhood or something you must have thought that once you will begin a certain company. So when we see like any student or any employee from this point where there is no ground of becoming an employer, but there is an aspiration, but there is no such family background or something. So besides the books, what would you can give the light on it, like how can we become the employee and start a company that is like world famous if we have such aspiration.
Very good question. I hope large number of you will become employers and not only employees.
Would like to. This is the ambition which I think first of all of us must have this type of ambitions that you want to become influence. This is a very good ambition. And then I think we have to ensure that this type of ambition doesn't lead to stress. This ambition must lead to a lot of energy. So we should find motivation within ambition, and then we should be energized to see that how you want to start. And for that, I think the values are going to be very, very important. Because these are all your formative years when you are in an institute. Now you are just completing your studies, and then either you will get into industry or you will start have your own startup. So what will matter is the values. So you have to see that what are your values. And for me, some of the most important values are discipline. So whatever you want to do, if you want to start something, you want to start, you will have to make a small beginning unless you have your own family business. So if you want to make a small beginning, you have to have very clear goals, very clear ambition. Then be disciplined on it, work on it with focus, and then of course the things will fall in place. So it has to be absolutely very, very hard commitment, focus, and discipline. I think these are the things which are important. And then make the beginning. Just make the beginning.
Simply, I'd like to add a couple of things to it, I think, which are very important. Um, there are two or three things, we all have aspirations and we all want to get to milestones very quickly in our lives. One of my own personal learning is that learning cannot be fast tracked for certain things, and you will have to go through the journey. So it is very important to have the patience to go through the journey. And something that people were saying, I would like to build on that. Courage is a very important aspect to it. Commitment is a very important, again, thing to have. You will face a lot of rejection. So have the confidence in your abilities to take and absorb the rejections that you're going to get. You hear a lot of no's. And are you confident that you can handle the no's as they come? So don't lose heart, right? Don't lose spirit, don't lose heart. Be very committed to what you're going towards and be very passionate about it. Drive with complete passion and energy, and be positive about how you're going to get there.
Just to add on to what we said, I think there was a great word of wisdom. I think just 2 3 points, just debate with you. I mean, people have followed the different paths. Some have worked in companies for a few years, and then sort of they want to see how companies work and how organizations work. Some have day one said no. I want to start something more. I think the most important, I mean, today is the world of, startup and so on. There's so much information available on the internet and people talking about. I mean, that's what is information. But I think I just need one or two points to give that. If you want to create a one business, I think find the purpose of the business. How you will differentiate yourself in the marketplace. That's the first one. Secondly, once you identify the idea, spend 90% time on how you will execute that idea. That is where the money is sitting. Money is not sitting so much in the idea, but in the execution. And that's the discovery. You will have yourself, okay, I want to execute this. So what's my story? What's the people I need around me? So that will make the difference in today's situation. Yeah, I don't do much work with startups, but some of them who do a lot of work with startups, they say, sir, if I just go onto Google and just do ChatGPT, all the possible ideas will come up within before 30 seconds. But what differentiates one startup from the other is how well these guys have thought the execution. And that's the story. And that's about discovery, that's about trust, that's what people, that's what the story.
Whatever you do, think you are the owner. Even if you're picking up a job, think I own this company. I always felt like that. When my first job, Tata Motors, I thought I owned Tata Motors. When I joined Eicher, I thought this is my company. And I told the chairman of Eicher in my interview, sir, I'll work with you for 10 years, then I'll create a think tank and a consulting company that will help in India's transformation. He loved that idea. So when the right time came, he said, Anil, you have that idea. Why don't you make it a subsidiary of Eicher? So we created something called ECS, Eicher Consulting. Then when we created a company called Grow Talent, again, it was the power of the idea that we wanted organizations and people to realize their full potential. I had no idea whether where I get the money, where is the market. But the deep commitment to that idea. So all my former clients from ECS came forward to, without my asking, they came forward to give funding for it. I never asked anyone because they liked the purity of the intent. Similarly, when we created Soil, it was the power of the idea. A lot of my close friends told me you should not get into setting up a business school. You think it can just be set up like that? I said the purity of the intent. This school is going to build leaders with strong character. They will have systems thinking and they will have deep enthusiasm in their heart to serve. And we want to launch a new experiment in higher education in this country. So when we wrote to all our clients, the carefully chosen one, 32 of the best companies in the country stepped forward saying, we will help you to co-create this trip. Because the power of the idea is getting, see, I am not the doer and the founder. The doing is happening through me. So remember, if you are inspired by a cause and you become the best follower of that cause, leadership will happen to you. That's what I just wanted to. So that's the central idea of my business.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would like to offer a warm round of applause to this wonderful panel. We have to go on some longer, but I think time beckons. So over to the MCs for the next.
Thank you for sharp 11 a.m. closure. Well done.
I would like Anil sir to facilitate our guests. So to conclude this memorable book launch ceremony, I respectfully invite our esteemed director, Dr. Srinivasan Sir, to propose the vote of thanks.
And the books are all available outside. Those who are going to get a copy, I will sign, write your name. So